Hello and welcome to Filmy Ladies. We are kicking off a brand new series, which, we've kind of been doing all along anyway, which is a new series looking at some of our favorite retro ladies, some of whom we've already covered in our Superstar series. Some of these people should have been in the Superstar series, but we're just going back to scoop them all up, basically. And there are so many amazing retro ladies to talk about. We decided to kick off with someone we omitted before, which is Meena Kumari. She really deserves her own episode. We've already done actually one episode on her called Mary Meena, where we looked at some of her lighter, more comedic roles. But now we are back in tragedy queen territory for the most part, which is, I know, what we all think of when we think of her. I do recommend that you go listen to our Mary Mina episode where we talk about why we think she was called the tragedy queen and whether that's fair. No. And why the tragic seemed to be so appealing and why that's what people seem to want to remember for her about her, even though she was so much more than that. So we watched four movies, Pitu two, and I did too. Pitu, what are your two movies? And please tell us about how sad they are.
So I watched two movies. I watched Aarti, which is from 1962, and I watched Sharada, which is from 1957. Sharada is a movie that I had on my watch list for a very long time, almost like 10 or 12 years. It was just one of those movies that I had just never gotten around to. And I cannot say that I'm glad I did. So it was not worth the 12-year wait. But the other movie, Aarti, which I had never even heard of, I had no idea what it was. And it only came up when I was doing a search because we did two movie episodes on Meena Kumari. Apart from Mary Meena, we did an episode on Sai Bibi or Gulam, which both you and I loved. And we did an episode on Dilip Narpreet Parai, where I was like, hey, I like her as a nurse. I wonder if she's done
Oh,
a movie
that's
where she's a
right.
doctor. So I
Yeah.
literally did a Google search, does Meena Kumari play a doctor in a movie? And that movie was Aarti. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. And
Yeah.
I had zero expectations going in, but Aarti ended up being enjoyable. So it was like the good and the bad. But do you want me to tell you about Sharada first?
Yes. Let's get the
Okay.
worst one out of the way.
Okay. So Sharda is 1957. The reason I wanted to watch it is because she is paired with Raj Kapoor in this movie, and I typically enjoy Raj Kapoor, especially when he's a cad. But this is not a pairing that makes sense to me.
No, it's giving me weird scrunch
It's
face. And when you texted me a
odd.
picture from it yesterday, I thought, I mean, of course they're in a movie together, given
They
the
have
time
to
frame,
be.
but also, man, do not want.
Those are not flavors that work together.
No.
I have to say, it's not bad. It's just weird. Like the pairing is weird. I vastly prefer her. I know we're not fans of Rajkumar on this podcast, but I almost prefer her with him. He almost makes more sense with her than Raj Kapoor does.
I needed to look this up and I will look it up while you're chatting, but I feel like if you're going to watch Meena Kumari, you have to get used to Raj Kumar.
Yes.
Um, it seems like he's in everything she does. I don't think that's strictly true, but they seem to be together a lot, and I will look it up.
It's like Shah Rukh and Kajol. Like it doesn't matter if you like Kajol or not. If you're a Shah Rukh Khan fan, you better get used to Kajol. Um, so yeah, so they're an odd pairing. But the reason I wanted to watch this movie is because it's a very interesting concept. Now, do I think that the movie works? No, I don't. But this is one of those movies that I would love if someone actually remade it because I do think it's kind of like cool and weird and interesting and not going to be a comfortable watch, but I like uncomfortable watches. So, just quick synopsis: Meena Kumari and Raj Kapoor love each other. We don't need to get into the meet cute, although the meet cute is very cute. He is very like moppety and silly and cute, and she's very like normal Meena Kumari, which is to say she has like this nobility about her, and he almost seems beneath her because he's such a clown. I mean, he's cute in his clownishness, but she's just so serious in comparison to him. And in this movie also, she's kind of like a medical professional, so she works for this like naturopathy clinic or whatever. I don't think she's an actual nurse, but she does make things like poultices and bandages and stuff like that. So maybe like a first aid person. I don't know. Anyway, so they fall in love, and he tells her that he has to go away on a business trip. But when he's back, he's going to let his dad know that they love each other and they want to get married. And she's like, okay, cool. This happens very early on in the movie. And she does not come from the best of circumstances. Like she's not like poor poor, but they're pretty like middle class, and he comes from a rich family because of course he's Raj Kapoor, come on. And then he comes back and he is devastated to discover, someone tells him, his friend tells him that, oh, Sharda, your lover, she got married. And he's like, what? Because he's gone for quite a while, like for a few years. And he comes back because he's like presumed dead or whatever, because he has an accident. And because of course he does. And then he comes back and he's horrified that she's married. And you feel very sad for him. He gives a very good nahi face, which
Oh,
I give him props
that
for. Yes. And in the meantime, she has gotten married to a rich man because they just don't have a lot of money back home. Also, this prospective lover of hers is missing. So what's she supposed to do? And so she's like, fine, whatever. I'll marry this like rich dude. And also the rich dude is much older than her, but he wants to marry her because like he has like these little kids who've become very attached to her and stuff like that. And the kids are very cute. And so she marries him. Um, Raj Kapoor comes back and then he goes to his father's house and his father's very happy. He's like, yay, my son who was presumed dead is alive and I'm so happy. Da, da, da. Do you want to guess who the father is? He is Meena Kumari's new husband. So now you have this very prickly, uncomfortable, tense situation where these two ex-lovers are now living under the same roof. And literally there's a scene where he sees her for the first time because he knows she's got married, and he confronts her about it and yells at her, and he's like really mean to her and everything, and she starts crying and she's like, well, what was I supposed to do? We thought you were dead, and I don't come from money. Like my dad was pressuring me to get married and I married a good man. Like, what's the problem? Blah blah blah. And it never occurred to him or to her that he is the son of the older man that he married. And he comes and his father says, your Naima is here, so you need to like touch her feet. And she's horrified and he's horrified, but of course he has to do it. And his father is like, well, aren't you should call her ma, she's your ma from now on. And it's like,
that is horrifying.
it is horrifying, but it's such a cool concept, Beth. It's so interesting
Hmm.
and so like icky and uncomfortable. And they're living under
Hmm.
the same house. And then he hits the bottle pretty hard because of course he does.
What?
I know that you expected that he would just like indulge in some good old fashioned therapy of the time, like discussing his woes with his friends, and then they would pat him on the back and he would, move on. But no, like, come on, Beth. Of course he hits the bottle. So we have a few Devdas scenes where he's loitering around and he's unshaven and all the things. And you can tell Raj Kapoor, this comes very naturally to him. There was not much acting involved there. Meanwhile, Meena Kumari is getting so fed up with his antics, as she should. And at one point, she basically is like, you need to leave because you were just obnoxious and a scoundrel. And because of you, the little kids are getting upset as well. Because, of course, he goes on these drunken tirades. And she tells him, either you leave or we will, which I was like, good job, Meena Kumari. And then she and the kids leave the house. And then she convinces him to get married, and he gets married. And things somehow seem to settle down a little bit. Like him and his new wife are getting along fine and everything. And it's his wife's baby shower. And one of the guests says, what is that woman doing here? And the wife says, what do you mean? She's my husband's stepmom. I know she looks really young, but like, it's just one of those second marriage things. And then the friend is like, yeah, but that's your husband's ex-girlfriend. Like, I knew her and I knew him. And she works at that naturopathy clinic. And then all hell breaks loose. So it's just such an interesting concept. It's such an interesting story. I think in the hands of a really good writer and director, I think this movie could be so cool and uncomfortable and prickly. I can imagine Ranveer Singh doing so well in the role of Raj Kapoor. I don't know who would play his wife, girlfriend slash stepmom, but I think that would be like a really cool thing to watch. But this movie is not very good because it's just all Meena Kumari does in this movie is cry. All she does is cry. All Raj Kapoor does is be drunk and loll around. The meet cute and the romantic parts are very little. And it's just like a lot of melodrama. There's also these very unnecessary comic acts in the middle, which I just forwarded because they were not adding anything. And one of the most irritating things about this movie is that she is like presented as this like very noble and amazing and ideal woman, which like that's fine. But It's so ridiculous. Like she literally carries a copy of the Bhagavad Gita with her everywhere. And I was like, I don't care how religious you are. Even the most religious people do not like randomly clutch like a holy book and walk around the house. Like, what is that? Your emotional stuffed blanket or your emotionally stuffed teddy bear or something? It's so weird. And every time she's having some sort of moral dilemma or she needs to like gird up her loins and demonstrate moral fortitude or something like that, and be an adarsh to the people. The director chooses to do like this big old close up on the Bhagavad Gita. And the way she holds the book is literally like she holds it like this. So you can read the title. And I was like, okay. So then for fun,
Okay.
I took this book, which bear in mind, I'm a bad girl. I am not Meena Kumari. I'm not an Adarsh Bharatiya Nari. So I'm reading a book called Love, Sex, and Frankenstein. Meena Kumari would never, she would never. She would probably disown me and throw me out of her house. But clutching a book like this throughout the day is very difficult. So kudos to her. She has good arm strength. This is a very stupid movie. I do not recommend it, but I like the premise of it. And I think it would be very interesting in the hands of an actually talented director, which this person is not. Not much to say about Meena Kumari's role. I think she does the best she can, but she's really hamstrung by a very bad script. And Raj Kapoor really doesn't do much, and their pairing is very weird. There is a cute song that during their meet cute that is nice, but I don't recommend this movie to anyone. My other movie that I watched, though, I enjoyed, and that movie is Aarti. And I have one word for you, and that word is Dada Moni. I watched this movie for Meena Kumari, but he was so mean and horrible.
So, according to my Googling while you've been speaking, he is her most frequent co-star with, I think if it's 15 or 16
And I think
movies
that's a good
together,
pairing.
except in things like Parinita, where the
Yes.
age difference is a yuck. And
Yeah.
also, there are other issues with that movie and
Yeah.
specifically his performance. But anyway.
But in this movie, so I wanted to watch this movie because she actually plays a doctor, and this movie is from 1962. Also, you will be extremely shocked to know, I was shocked to know that this was the first Rajashri production movie. Um, and it's actually very interesting and not stupid at all because I don't like Rajashri movies, but this one's really good. So she plays an actual doctor, her name like Dr. Aarti, and I would describe her more as like a GP, like a general practitioner, and Ashok Kumar is her boss, and he's a surgeon, and they work together, and you see all of their coworkers and their colleagues and everything. They work in the same hospital. The movie literally begins with them being asked to go to this little town near Mumbai where there has been a lot of flooding, and so the people are in need of like urgent like first aid and stuff like that. So they're kind of being asked to go on like sort of like a welfare mission. And Ashok Kumar literally is such a snob and he's so horrible. He's wearing like an expensive suit and he's like, "You want me to walk through the mud?" I'm like, "There were floods, Ashok Kumar. What do you expect?" And he's like, "But my trousers." And I was like, "I already hate you. You are a terrible person." And Meena Kumari just starts walking. And this is when Meena Kumari is rescued because she's drowning, as one does. And she's rescued by Pradeep Kumar, who has the personality of a animal cracker. Which is to say, he has no personality. I am very sorry to say that, but it is true. He just kind of sleepwalks through this movie.
Oh,
And he has a mustache. His mustache is doing quite a lot of heavy lifting because his face does not have any expressions on it. So it's very sad. His dialogue delivery is also very stunted. So nobody's watching this movie for Pradeep Kumar. I was barely watching this movie for Meena Kumari. But she is it's really interesting. So she's like a good doctor, and Ashok Kumar is like a bad doctor. And at first, I was like, "What does that even mean? Like, what's a good doctor and a bad doctor?" She's just like a normal person. She's like a normal, non-psychopathic human being who wants to use her medical skills to help people. And she comes from a fairly like well-to-do family, which you probably would have to be if it's 1962 and you've gotten an education as a doctor. But she just wants to like help people and she's not that interested in becoming like super wealthy and stuff. Ashok Kumar though is obsessed with becoming wealthy, and he doesn't like children, he doesn't like really old people, he doesn't like when it's dirty, he doesn't like dust, he doesn't like mud, he doesn't want to be bothered. He's just this like obnoxious elitist man. Like all of the medical colleagues are going somewhere like for in a train, and he says to her, Aarti, why don't you join me in the first class compartment? It'll be so nice. And she's like, no, that's fine. I'd rather be here. And he's like, really? In that train compartment? Such a snob. And she's like, well, this is where everyone else is. And it's the contrast between their train compartments. The second class compartment that she is in, all the coworkers, they're like singing and dancing and playing cards, and they're having a jolly good time. And then Ashok Kumar is just sitting in his AC compartment, like that, like nose up in the air. And I was like, good, you deserve to be left alone. So she falls in love with Pradeep Kumar because she doesn't like Ashok Kumar, which I don't blame her. He's such a snob. Do you want to guess what Pradeep Kumar's profession is? So if you were a doctor and your boss was a surgeon and said surgeon is a snob, but he's head over heels in love with you and he's very, very sharp, who do you think you would fall in love with? What profession?
Oh, is he gonna be like a low-level bank clerk or something?
Oh no, Beth, you
No,
gotta have
I went the wrong
grander
way.
ideas. You did go the
A
wrong way.
judge.
No, you have to go the opposite way of that.
Tell me, tell me.
He's a poet
Oh, of course.
and he's unemployed.
Sure.
Of course, she falls in love with a poet. I have to tell you, I have lived as long as I have, and I know so many doctors and nurses and accountants and lawyers and firefighters. I know so many people from different walks of life. I have never met a poet, especially I have never met a poet who is unemployed and lives in a hovel, and who also has a deranged sister and a sister-in-law called Shashikala, who is very mean. So
Love Shashikala though.
she's great. She's such an asshole. But yes, he lives in a hovel. So of course, Meena Kumari falls in love with him. He's clearly irresistible. Him and his mustache and his animal cracker
How does she
personality.
meet him?
He rescued her, remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Well, what else is an unemployed poet going to do? It's not like he has a 9 to 5 job. So he's just wandering the riverbanks looking for inspiration. And who does he see? A beautiful woman drowning.
Right. Right.
It's truly a match made in heaven. So she decides to have a life of marriage and poverty and washing dishes and being yelled at by Shashikala, and not being able to pay the bills because her husband is an unemployed poet. But she doesn't mind that at all because, it's true love, which cynics like you and me do not understand. And Ashok Kumar, his ego is so hurt by the fact that she would marry an unemployed poet who lives in a hovel, which he will point out repeatedly. He's like, you abandoned a surgeon like me? So he is very upset. And he gets married too, by the way. He marries this absolutely gorgeous woman. And he marries this rich woman who is also a doctor because they all know each other. They're all part of the same hospital. And he still carries a torch for Meena Kumari because he doesn't love her. He's just like, his ego is hurt. And so he's trying all of these shenanigans to get her back. And he is deliciously awful and wicked and psychopathic, and led me to do a Google search where I was like, hey, Google, isn't it true that a lot of surgeons have like the dark triad traits? And it's true. So most medical professionals score very low compared to the average population on the dark triad traits of like psychopathy, but surgeons score vastly higher than the normal population, surgeons and CEOs. So I was like, this is why Ashok Kumar is how he is. And he's terrible. And towards the end of the movie, something very interesting happens. Our dear unemployed poet who lives in a hovel, I want that on a t-shirt. He something bad happens to him. I don't remember what, because it's Pradeep Kumar, so I didn't really care. So something bad happens and he's going to die. And only the best surgeon in all of India can save him. And do you want to guess who the best surgeon in all of India is? Can you guess?
Well, it can't be Shami Kapoor at this time.
Shami Kapoor was like smoking a cigar at the
Is
time,
it
so he was
Raj
busy.
Kapoor?
No, it is Ashok Kumar.
Oh.
So Meena Kumari goes to Ashok Kumar and she says, yeah. So she says, Ashok Kumar, can you save my poor unemployed poet husband who lives in a hovel because he's such a good man? And Ashok Kumar is like, how do you know I won't try to kill him on the operation table? And she's like, because you're a doctor and I'm a doctor and doctors don't do that. And Ashok Kumar is like, can you be so sure? And I was like, yeah, Meena, can you be so sure?
Wow.
And he's like,
what a jerk.
And to the point that he's such an asshole that someone else in the hospital, when this whole thing is going down, because of course you have these conversations in front of 25 of your colleagues, because there's no such thing as privacy. Everything is crowdsourced. So this other person says, Dr. Aarti, if you want, I can be in the operation theater to assist the surgeon so that we can make sure that your husband will be saved. I'm like, okay. And Dr. Aarti, because she believes in the greatness of surgeons and medical science and medical professionals and doctors, says, no, I know Ashok Kumar will do everything he can to save my husband because he is a doctor. And you know what? Ashok Kumar does save her husband. So there's that.
It's like it's giving Agale Lagja with the,
Right.
Shah Rukh Khan is the only one who can save this poor child, and he does so by slapping him.
Yeah.
Is there any slapping? Medical slapping?
Um, no, but Meena Kumari slapped Ashok Kumar once, and that was very gratifying because he
Okay.
truly was being very irritating. So I
Okay.
supported her in that.
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of violence unless it's alligators against human beings. But if it's against Ashok Kumar in this movie, I support it. So this movie was actually quite entertaining because Ashok Kumar was just such an asshole from start to finish. And it was very entertaining, to be honest, because Meena Kumari's character is such a goody two shoes in this movie, and she's so irritating, and she's just crying all the time. And so Ashok Kumar just being like wicked and just having no conscience at all, and just being like, I became a doctor and a surgeon because I want money. I just found that funny. He lives in this massive like mansion. It's great. There is one good thing in this movie that I really enjoyed is Shashikala is an absolute brat. She's just this miserable woman, and she's just always yelling at everybody, including at Aarti. And one time, Pradeep Kumar says to Meena Kumari, he's like, I'm so sorry that my hubby is so mean to you and to everyone else. And Meena Kumari turns to him and she says, have you ever asked why she's so mean to everyone, why she's so angry?
Oh.
I know it's a good scene. And he goes, no. And then she goes, she's not angry at me. She's angry at the whole world because she got married when she was young. She wasn't given an education. She was basically got married off and had 3 children in quick succession. And all she does all day long is cook and clean and take care of everyone. So she has no opportunities. And that's why she's sad. And that's why that manifests as anger. And we should all have sympathy for her for that reason and understand her. And I was like, I had to go and check and make sure this was a Rajashri
Okay.
Productions movie because I was like,
Oh, yeah.
is this a conversation about like patriarchy and how women become unhappy when they don't have choices and agency? I was like, good job, Dr. Aarti. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I think this is a fun movie to watch if you want to see Ashok Kumar just being very terrible. And this is also not a good movie to watch if you have no interest in Pradeep Kumar. I truly did not. I actually would have enjoyed it if Ashok Kumar is like, I'll show you. And then he actually kills Pradeep Kumar on the table because he can. Because
No one will
he's
miss
just,
him.
no. And also, Ashok Kumar is just that kind of surgeon.
Right.
I love it. He's so diabolical. So it's
Yeah.
very entertaining.
Okay.
So Sharada, bad. Aarti, good.
Okay.
Um, Meena Kumari, very VP in both movies, very much adhering to my Mooning Myrtle tag that I had attached to her many, many years ago. I will go back to saying I love her when she has author back roles. I loved her in Sahibi Bi Aur Gulam. I liked her in Dil Apna Preet Barai. I think when they give her good roles, because she acts well,
She's very good.
it's just they're not doing her any favors, and she's not doing herself any favors with these very like martyr roles where she has to be better than everyone. So yeah. What about your movies?
So I watched two different movies from opposite ends of her career. So I watched Azad from 1955, which is very much like Kohinoor, also with Dilip
Ah,
Kumar, which this is, and it's one of these lighthearted roles.
mm.
And I'll return to it in a second. And then I watched for the first time ever Pakeezah because I had to at some point. That I don't actually have a written list of the things I know I need to watch to call myself an informed Hindi film viewer, but if I did, that one would be in the top five, maybe even the top one, honestly. I've been putting it off because of the moaning myrtle of it all. I have always liked Meena Kumari, but again, and I knew it wasn't like, oh, that's not one of the moaning myrtle. Yes, it is. That's
Yes.
one of the tragic ones. And obviously I know about the arc of her life and that this came at the end, and that also is sad. So
Yeah.
I did watch Pakeezah. So we'll save that for the last because that's the one.
I'm so interested in knowing if it has driven you to drink. Are you now an
I
unemployed
don't even
poet?
have a vessel in arm's length. Usually I'm here with a glass of water. I don't even have water within arm's length, so I'm good. So let me go back to Azad. This is a lot of fun. This is Dilip Kumar. It's really his show. Um, he plays a sort of swashbuckling robber, but he's also really good, like robber with a heart of gold, blah 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 blah. And his uncle, I think it's uncle, had taken a lot of money from thieves. So it's not quite Robin Hood, but it's sort of Robin Hood. And he shows up in the movie several different ways in disguises before we see him in his, regular movie star glory. She is the daughter, or the sort of daughter by friendship of a couple whose son went missing years ago. Who could it be? Who could it be? Uh, and Prawn wants to marry her, but she doesn't, or wants to rape her, honestly. Prawn is very bad in this movie, but he's not there very much. I could have used a little more Prawn. There's an extended comedy plot with Om Prakash as a police officer. Yes, question.
Question: how handsome does Prawn look on a scale of 1 to 10 in this movie?
I'd put it sort of middle.
Oh,
This is not my favorite Prawn look. He's so awful.
oh.
That kind of overrides it. I think I do prefer Prawn in his slightly older years where he's um, not pure evil. He might be a social outcast for various noble reasons, but he's not a rapist anymore.
Is he wearing the sort of like princely togs, like jodhpurs and
No, not
achkans?
particularly. Not particularly.
Oh,
And Dilip Kumar has some very odd fashion in this movie in his main role as Azad. That's his character's main name. Uh, he has these jackets that stop at the elbow, and then there's a long sleeve under them, but I believe the sleeve is it's like either a two-tone sleeve or there's an under sleeve that sticks out. It sort of looks like he's wearing a robe, but also a suit. It's a really weird look. And Meena is, independent, fights back, sprightly. She has a million dances in which she's very good. There's other dances with there are many young women in Dilip Kumar's family, and they have some dance numbers. It's all very cute. You should watch this movie. I recommend fast forwarding through the Om Prakash part, even though I like Om Prakash, but that it just goes on. They return to it a lot. But yeah, watch this with the liberal use of the fast forward button. It's very charming, except there are two scenes with animals fighting each other that I can't imagine were actually. I suspect they were real because it's 1955. So
okay. Don't tell me about those.
I won't. You don't want to see that. So other than that, and you'll see when they're coming because they're out in the forest and somebody goes, ah, a bear or whatever, right? So just fast forward on by. Um, but do watch this movie. Other than that, it's cute. I did not like it as much as Kohinoor, but I do really like Kohinoor. So um, that's not really saying anything. This is, especially for her, this is very pleasant. And he does have some, as we've spoken about fairly recently, if you needed convincing that Shah Rukh Khan looks like Dilip Kumar, here you go. Like it's truly impressive in this movie because you can just imagine Shah Rukh doing all this swashbuckling nonsense and like wearing disguises. There's this scene where he's leaving her, he's smitten with her and he's leaving and he backs into a column behind him and is
Uh-huh.
like, oops, like my suave moment. You can see Shah Rukh doing that, right? So
Oh,
it's cute. It's a cute
that's
movie.
so cute. Also, like I really like vintage Dilip Kumar,
Yeah,
but like vintage Dilip Kumar who is cute and funny and charming, like Ramarsham Dilip Kumar, for
yeah,
example, is like so cute and funny. And he was also tagged the tragedy king. And then Meena
right.
Kumari, who also can be so adorable and bubbly and cute, was tagged the tragedy queen. And I was like, do y'all just have a problem with happy people?
There's an article in the Indian Express, which is paywalled beyond a certain point, so I didn't read the whole thing.
Hmm.
But it says that Dilip Kumar's psychiatrist actually recommended after Devdas that he start doing some more lighthearted films because he was depressed. And this is one that he signed apparently fairly quickly after, or made fairly quickly after
I've
that.
actually heard this rumor.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
mean, it tracks.
Yeah.
And it really underscores what we were saying in our Mary Mina episode is that this we were talking about how the any kind of star nickname is unfair because it flattens out what they all do.
Yeah.
Um, but we didn't talk about how it's unfair, sort of personally, health wise, to the star, right? And so like
Yeah.
this was really I was sad to read it, but it's very very interesting and throws some good evidence into like, hey, don't call people stuff like that.
I was
Words can
trying to
hurt.
remember which actor it is. I don't think it's Saif Ali Khan, but it's someone who had said that their movie pick, maybe it's Shahid Kapoor, I don't know. It's someone who said in an interview that their movie or script picking rule is one for me, one for you. So what they mean by
Ah,
that is they pick one movie that they really want to do that they think is going to be good for them, irrespective of what they think the box office chances of that could be, or could it be like an award win or whatever. They just do it because they want to do it. And then the one for you is that they're doing one for the audience where they're like, I think you're going to like this. I think you want me to do this. Like, we all know like there's a subset of Shah Rukh Khan fans who only want him to do romance, right? And so
right.
occasionally he'll throw us a bone. He'll be like, ugh, fine, here you go. Here's another romance. And then he goes and does something else he wants to do. So the one for me, one for you strategy is like you're keeping your fan base happy,
Yeah.
but then you're also doing something that appeals to you. I wish I knew who said that, but I mean, I feel like that's a good career strategy
Hmm.
probably for artists to have.
Hmm. Hmm. Ready for Pakeezah?
Yes.
So I I didn't do a ton of reading before this, but obviously I've heard about this film over the 20 some years I've been watching Hindi cinema. And I did do some reading, academic articles after I watched it. So you can put your brainy specs on if you want. I don't know if there's anyone listening who doesn't know the basic gist of Pakeezah. Um,
Maybe give like a two-line synopsis. It's not like it's a
um,
particularly
Meena
complicated
Kumari plays
story.
two generations, the first of which dies very quickly, of a courtesan in the time is never really specified, and that's actually quite important, of in Lucknow and Delhi. And Ashok Kumar is the first generation's love interest. He tries to marry her. His dad says no, which seems to surprise them. And I was like, you ding dongs. Also, what all of this could have been avoided. Anyway, she goes off to a cemetery and dies after giving birth to a little girl who goes to live with her aunt.
I wish you were a scriptwriter and there was like an important like movie set in your, and then suddenly randomly a character goes, you ding dongs. And I'd be like, that's that Beth
Ding
Watkins
dongs.
right there.
Put it in very highfalutin Urdu, make it, I don't know.
It's like there's dialogues by Salim Javed and then there's
Right.
Beth Watkins right there. You ding dongs.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Uh, and then she grows up in the Kota as well, raised by her aunt, and then she goes off and works for Nadira, who is amazing as an older madam. And this is more than two sentences, I'm so sorry, but a full sentence must be devoted to how she has her meet cute with Rajkumar, who she's asleep on a train and he enters her compartment by accident and then sits there and um, really loves her feet, her bare feet. And she does have her anklets on, and he is like taken by the gentle tinkling of the anklet as the train moves. And I believe, and you see him sit down and I think he's taking off one of his shoes to like massage his own feet or something. So there's like, and then as the train moves, I watched this a couple times. I can't tell if she's supposed to be behind him and is moving or if her foot is like bumping into him every time the train rocks. I think it's the latter. And then he, like a weirdo, leaves her a note tucked between her toes saying how beautiful her feet are and they should never touch the ground. Of course, that's not possible because she's a courtesan dancer. So, and then so she's in love with this guy that she never meets, before she falls in love with him. And then a rich noble guy is trying to, sort of take her on, and then he takes her away in a boat, and then some elephants capsize the boat and he's killed, and she rides the broken boat to the shore, and whose tent should it be that she washes up next to? Oh no, it's Rajkumar's, and it's just it's, I'm losing steam, this movie. Anyway, so and
Did you take my
eventually
advice and watch it over 2 days?
I did, yeah.
Okay,
And
good.
eventually they finally meet. They're in love. He wants to marry. She admits who she really is. And he says that's fine. They go to get married and she runs away from the mosque, literally waving her arms in the air like this, going, "Nay!" And her shawl like billows, her black shawl billows behind her and lands at his feet as he looks on forlornly. Some very heavy metaphors are made. He then is going to marry someone else and invites her to perform at his wedding because that's the kind of asshole he is. And more drama happens. And then they actually do marry. The end. So I want to share. Okay, I'll first share my impression and then I want to share some of the scholarly stuff that I read because I think
Okay.
this movie, this movie is important, I think, right? It gets
Yeah.
talked about a
It gets
lot.
talked about.
I was surprised to learn that it wasn't super well received when it released, even
Hmm.
though Meena Kumari apparently was happy with it in the just a few weeks before she died. But and it really, really, really does feel like a throwback to a 50s movie. And I think we all know that it was started to be worked on way back when and then was only finished and released in the early 70s. Um, and the sort of technicolor aspect, garish aspect of the 70s laid on top of this story, I find very disconcerting. But there's some work about that that I'll share that kind of has changed my mind a bit. But yeah, I was like, you ding dongs. You know? Um, we've all seen this basic story before, and it's
Yeah.
not that a formula or a chestnut can't be enjoyable by any means or meaningful or touching or whatever, but this is not doing it for me. And it's not her fault at all. It was the script. I just found it like ugh.
It's
um
just lumbering.
it's lumbering. And one of the things that I think really bothers me, I don't think it, I know it. One of the things that bothers me is her name is not Pakeezah. That is what Rajkumar calls her at one
Hmm.
point after he learns that she's actually a courtesan. So this whole movie is a
From
name
his.
given by a man to the central woman. That pisses me off. And not her dad, right?
Right.
Her love interest who does not really know her very well. He does by that point, I guess. But yuck, yuck. And the men in this movie are actually not very interesting or important. The women are much more interesting and important. So then for the
Mm.
title to be this is really aggravating to me. And this whole like, oh, but he called her innocent, so it's okay.
Yeah. Because I
Um,
think Pakiza means like the pure one or
yeah,
something, right? Because Pak is purity.
yeah,
So,
yeah, pure one, I should say, yeah. So
and her real
that's
name is
extra
what?
yucky.
Sunehri, I think?
Uh, Sahib
Or
John.
Mehjabeen. Sahib Jan. Okay.
Um, it's just yucky, yucky. Um, yeah, I don't know. The songs, of course, are lovely. And especially the big finale one where she's dancing at his wedding. That was my favorite, I would say. And she does a thing which we saw Smita Patel do in Gunguru with Shashi Kapoor, which is she steps on broken glass. She knocks over a
Mm.
lamp and steps on broken glasses and then is leaving bloody footprints all over the place as though, you know, very much to say, oh, my feet shouldn't touch the ground. Look how much sacrifice I am making with my feet and look, you know, look at the tools of my fame, of my celebrity, of my skill and everything like that. So it's
Hmm.
you know, there's some very moving moments in it, but overall this was not this did not really work for me. And I have to wonder if she hadn't died almost immediately after, if this movie would be held in such regard.
Yeah. It's weird because like every time, so I feel like Pakiza is one of those movies that's really polarizing, right? Like
Mhm.
every time you mention Pakiza, you get a group of people like me who go, "Ugh, what a horrible
Yeah.
drag! Like I hate, do
Yeah.
not watch, I would never watch. It's horrible, blah blah blah." And then you get a very small vocal minority that's like, "Oh my god, I love Pakiza, it's the best." And this group looks at the other group like, "Are you crazy? What
Right.
is wrong with you?" Now I am all for people disagreeing on movies. Like, that's fine. You're
Yes.
allowed to
Yes, of
like
course.
movies that other people dislike. You're allowed to dislike movies that other people like. That's totally fine. Like, as a person who enjoys First Khan movies and greatly enjoyed Yelgar, who am I to question your cinematic taste, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that has always bothered me about people who like Pakiza is that they can never really give you a reason as to why they like it.
Mm.
Meaning, if you're going to sing the praises of this movie, I would like you to give me a little summary of what exactly you enjoy in it, because I can point to Umrao Jan as being a better movie in the same subgenre,
Yeah.
right? Like Umrao Jan is so much better. Now, do I want to sit around on Friday nights watching Umrao Jan? No,
No.
but it's a much vastly better movie in the same kind of category,
Mhm.
and I just don't understand. Like, I was thinking about this last night because I was like, why is this movie so beloved? And I hit upon like one or to like theories that obviously have no way of knowing if they're correct or not. I think number one, there is this strong sentimental association and feeling bad for her because Meena Kumari, Madhubala, these are both actresses that started out as child stars. They came from complete poverty, rose to become huge superstars, gained a lot of fame and beauty and riches and all of that, but their lives were very tragic. And they died very young. And I think there is this sadness that people feel for them, right? Like you also have that for Western artists, for instance, like people who love Kurt Cobain or people who feel the same way
Oh,
about like John Lennon, right? Like you feel, or Selena, like you feel
yeah, yeah,
bad for
yeah.
people who were cut down in the prime of their life. So I get that, but you still don't necessarily have to like every single one of their movies. But I think there is that emotional aspect to it. Like this movie was released posthumously, I believe. Like
No,
I
she
think,
got to see it.
oh, she got to see it. Okay,
Yeah.
I think. Oh, sorry, I think it became a hit posthumously,
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
which makes so much sense, right? Which is kind of like, oh, this is her magnum opus. This is the last time you're going to get to see this famed actress on screen. Go buy your tickets right now. So I think there's this emotional angle that people are not able to disengage from the film itself. And that is why when you say, I hate Pakistan, people get really upset. Um, I think the other reason that this movie is so loved by some people is because of his visual opulence. It's beautiful in parts. It's extremely LSD fever dream in other parts. Like this movie is garishly ugly in some parts.
Yeah, this is my critique about that set of praise because I think
Yeah.
we've all seen many more movies that are more opulent actually than this from all sorts of
Yes.
time periods. So it's the praise lavished upon it for its visuals,
Doesn't
other
make
than how
sense.
the dancing is shot. And there's a few scenes, of course, here and there, like again when her shawl blows off and lands at his feet and she's below him on the stairs because she's run away. Like that's
Yeah.
striking. And
Or her hair in the mahal
yeah, her hair in a
in the
bathtub
waterfall
behind
thingy.
hers.
Yeah.
But like the walls are very flat. The gold looks very fake. There's a lot of like I'm not even sure I want to call it garish, but it's kind of loud
It's very
in
loud.
parts and
The
not
makeup.
in a coherent way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And like
makeup is
and
terrible.
for whatever reason, when she plays the mother character, she is blonde with blue eyes. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? What?
It's a lot of really strange artistic choices. And again, when people are like,
Yeah.
oh, but it's so pretty. I'm like, have you seen Mughal Azam? That's pretty. Have you seen
Right.
Umrao Jan? That's pretty. And
Right.
I think maybe now, like, we don't care as much about the pretty because we're so used to Sanjay Leela Bhansali, whose movies are truly, genuinely very beautiful, whatever
Really
you may think
beautiful.
of the
Yeah.
content of it, right? And we're used to Yash Chopra's level of like grandeur and opulence and all of that. And I wonder if back then the opulence appealed to people. But even in that era, there were movies that were better. So I don't understand that either.
Yeah, there's a flatness to it much of the time.
Yeah.
Other than I really like the streetscape that you see out of
Okay.
the Kota because there's other balconies and you see other women
Oh yeah.
dancing like back in the background and you see
Hmm.
horse carts and like store posters and stuff like that. So that I
Yeah.
like, but mostly it felt fairly flat to me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like contrast that with Amrapali, right? Like
right.
Amrapali,
No
the temples
contest.
and the carvings and the
Yeah,
jewelry and the makeup, even the makeup, like Vajanti
yeah,
Mala's makeup in that movie, the
yeah,
hairstyles, everything is so top notch. I mean, people are like, I love how pretty Pakeezah is. I'm like, go watch Amrapali. So I don't understand that either.
yeah. I
I
don't
just have
either.
never really understood why people like this movie. Also, I have to say, like, anytime a person who is a guy says, I love Pakistan, it always makes me go, because you're in a bubble and you're privileged and you have absolutely no idea how terrifying this movie is.
Right.
Like every year, I don't know if you ever knew this website called Rediff. It
Oh
was one
yeah,
of the earliest, yeah, it was like
yeah.
one, I had like a Rediff mail account. It was like one of the earliest websites. It was kind of like India's BuzzFeed back
Hmm.
then. And they would always do these little like slideshows for things. Like they'd be like, 10 meet cutes from Bollywood movies for Valentine's Day. And anytime they would do these listicles on like meet cutes, there would be this Pakeezah scene. And I was like, that is not a meet cute, that is a meet creep.
It
That
is a
is
meat creep.
creepy.
Hmm.
Only a man would think that that is a. I was like, who is this fool who
And
has
I
written this slideshow?
and I want to be clear. I don't think it's creepy because it's her feet. I
No.
don't think I've ever seen that in another movie, but like, so I
Yeah.
think it's unusual. I don't think that's creepy. I think what's creepy is that he's like projecting all this stuff onto her and they've never even spoken because she is unconscious because she is asleep
It's just
and you are in
creepy.
her space uninvitedly. Like I
Yeah.
it's just not it.
It
Um,
just smacks of like being privileged and living in a bubble and not knowing the
yeah.
absolute terror that women live through in like when we take public transportation. Like I still remember when I lived in Atlanta. This is when in the days of yore, when I was doing my master's and I took the MARTA, which is like the local, like the train in Atlanta. It's very small. It's not, we're not talking New York subway here.
Yeah.
It's like has very few stations. And because it was Atlanta back in the day, at later after rush hour it would be empty, so it would often
Mm.
like be a little bit dangerous. And so it was like 9:30 or something and I'm in the train. It's just me and this one dude, and I'm like shitting bullets because I'm like, I mean, oh my god, it's like 9:30 and I had like a little Sanyo flip phone and
Yeah.
I was nervous. And just as I was going to get off at my station, he just looks at me and he says, "You have really beautiful hair, don't cut it."
Ah,
It was
oh
so
man.
long ago, Beth. It still strikes terror in my heart because I had like a 10-minute walk to my apartment and I kept looking over my shoulder the whole time, clutching my phone because I was like, is this dude going to follow me? Who
Right.
says that? 9:30 p.m. you say to a lone female traveler, you have beautiful hair, don't cut it. Even if it was like a genuine, sincere compliment, you don't have to say everything that enters your head.
No,
So
you
when
don't.
men say things like this movie's romantic, I want to give them a lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that there are some lacks of subtlety in this that really hurt it. And I am all for lack of subtlety, or else I would not be in this podcast, right? But and so maybe this is a subtitle issue, but I don't think so. So there's a scene where when she comes back to the Kota after fleeing the wedding, there's a kite, a broken kite hanging in a tree outside. Y'all, we get it. But no, she says, there's a kite outside. It's just like me. It's been cut loose and now look at it. Like she has to put a big sparkly star on this thing. She could have walked past the kite and said, I feel like a kite that's been cut loose. Or she could have turned to the kite and spoken to the kite and said, Ah, sister, I see you are like me. But no, she refers to it. She does it in the most, they have her do it in the most clunky way. So there's just some stuff like that where I just think like this needed another pass or something. Um, may I share with you some of the reading that I did because I
Yes.
have come away with some more thoughts based on the reading, which is great. First of all, Rachel Dwyer, who was a professor of Indian cinema at SOAS in London for a long time and was a great presence on Twitter back in the day, she talks about this almost as a camp classic, and that made me think, I can maybe see this as camp. I still not, and like maybe if I'd watched it with a bunch of people and we all had drinks, that would have been the way to do it. But that's interesting to think about. And then I spent some time with an article called Pakeezah, Dreamscape of Desire by Richard Allen and Ira Bhaskar, who are professors in New Zealand and India, respectively. And they talk about how this film really coalesces around the idea of the woman is trapped in the same system that made her notable or worthy of admiration or even able to be admired, right, by the men. So, in order to escape, and this whole film is really about escape because it starts, of course, with her mother hoping to escape, and someone also hoping to help her escape, and it doesn't work, and she can only escape by death. And there's repeated reference to the Kotha as a tomb, and that the women are living, she calls them living corpses, Zindalash inside the um, and so that only she can only escape by the destruction of the system that she's caught in. And that was interesting to me, and I'm sure we've seen that in other kinds of movies as well, but it elaborates this theme quite a bit. And that because it was made when it was, this is a really looking backwards kind of film. um and any courtesan film that's made now is also looking backwards, but because this one is set in an unspecified yore, there are trains, but other than that you don't really see any technology that indicates what time it is. Although Ashok Kumar basically seems to be wearing his own glasses and sunglasses. He wears sunglasses at one point, and you're like, sir, I don't know how old sunglasses are, but they look very out of place there. um so that was pretty interesting to think about, and just how um these are women who are supposed to be symbols of, or like the epitome of certain kinds of refinement, then also certain kinds of filth, basically, right? So like this extreme double standard that they're trapped in is very is really interesting. So I I recommend this article to people. If you can't get it, I will email it to you. I have a PDF. I thought it was pretty fascinating. Um, the film, repeatedly being unwilling to pin itself down in history is pretty important because this is such an artificial environment that she's in.
I vaguely seem to remember that the guy who made this wasn't this made by Kamal Amrohi?
Yeah.
And why do I feel like I read an article once about this movie is basically about Kamal Amrohi's mom
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I didn't
or
run
the
across
script
that.
writer's mom. You know, kind
Huh.
of like you've seen Zubaydah, right?
Yeah.
So Zubaydah is basically the story of Khalid Muhammad, the writer's mother. Like that was literally his
Right,
mom that
right,
he
right.
wrote
And
the
that's the
movie about.
framing device. Yeah.
And yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, this movie is also either it was Kamal Amrohi's mother or the writer's mother, so that could help someone in like being able to like
Yeah.
date it in a way. But I'm pretty sure I read something of that sort. And of course that the mother was not like accepted as like a
Right,
wife or anything like that, so
right.
yeah.
I had not clocked that the train station where um when she wakes up in the morning to find the note tucked between her toes, the town outside is called Suhagpur. Like you guys, we got it.
Oh my god, that's
So if you
terrible.
don't give this movie crap for things like that, you are not allowed to do it to Manmohan Desai.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
you, but like one,
yeah.
right? So this is, I don't know. I
My favorite was like when you were WhatsApping me. I think it was at work, and I'm like trying to focus on like sending out emails and stuff like that. And then Beth is WhatsApping me, and you were telling me stuff about like the women are saying she's withering in the cemetery, and I was like, "What do you want?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is certainly a movie that you can teach with in terms of symbolism in mainstream Hindi films and things like that. But there's just so many courtesan movies that are better. There's so many Meena Kumari movies that are better. I think there are Kamal
I
Amrohi
know.
movies that are better. Like, um, now I will say, I thought Ashok Kumar, he's not on screen very much, but I thought he was really good in this. Um,
Shocker.
yeah, shocker. And then Raj Kumar is also pretty good in this, I
Oh
would
yeah, I
say.
wanted to ask you what you thought about
I'm
Rajkumar.
this might be the thing I like him in most that I've seen.
Okay,
I, some of the reading I was doing talk about how he is just sort of a presence of stable goodness, apart from when he asks her to perform at his engagement. Um, but I'm not willing to say that partly because of the naming thing and like you know, there are things he does that are better than the way that Ashok Kumar handled the same situation. Also, we find out that he is the nephew of Ashok Kumar, so they are first cousins.
oh they are, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That
Wow.
doesn't even get mentioned in the wash of everything else. And of course
Wait,
they
is
don't.
she definitely like Ashok Kumar's child though?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so then they
They
are
all,
first cousins.
we this is revealed at different times, so it's kind of later that you put together that that's his uncle or whatever. So anyway, um, where was I going with this? I just my train.
Ashok Kumar,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Rajkumar, you were
Rajkumar. So I
telling
think
us
I
what you
think
thought about it.
he's I think he's good in this. He manages not to make this as creepy as it could well be and as it really is, frankly. He's pretty relaxed, I would say, in his portrayal, and I think that helps because if you gave this to someone who was a little more hyper, I think it
Mm.
would instantly appear creepy. And obviously the movie does not want us to think this is creepy. They want us to think this is a noble rescue of sorts. Um, which it is, but not because but not because she does want to leave, right? But if he had never we don't know what she would have thought about leaving this world if he hadn't planted the idea of a romance in her feet. So it's kind of hard to say, but yeah. So I thought he was good in this, and they I learned did 6 movies together, so that's not nothing, but not not the most, but um this article talks about the the logic of the events in the film take on the quality of delirium. I'm like, yeah, it is kind of
They
delulu.
do.
I do not, there are things about the way the people, the ideas that about the ideas some of the characters have that are a little bit on the delirious side. But like visually, I do not find this film delirious. I wish I did. I think I would like it more if it had gone wholer hog, you know. And but yeah, the saving grace of this movie is the music for sure, which is famously lovely and I think well deserved. It is very interesting to note where you can and cannot see Meena Kumari's face while dancing because she's so unwell. She cannot do some of these dances and how much she performs sitting down or lying down, which I didn't even really clock until about halfway through. And then I was like, wait a minute. And especially by the end number where she's whirling around with bloody feet. That is apparently Padma Khanna, which is a great person to have as your stand-in for sure. Um, and anytime you see a character who usually has her hair pulled back or braided or whatever, when her hair is loose, you're like, there can be many reasons for it, but one of them can be to help hide a double. That is indeed one of the things that's happening here. Although we also saw in is it Amrapali where she dances so hard that her hair ornaments fly off and her hair goes loose and stuff. So it doesn't only for that reason, but yeah. So I guess I'm glad to have seen this. I can cross it off my list, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like, um, frankly, Mother India was one of these for me. I didn't really think I would like it. I have walked away with certain things about it impressing me, but I don't ever want to see it again.
Yeah.
Um, I'll have to think about what else is on my list that I feel I really should see, so I can add them to perhaps to our podcast list and cross them off my
Yeah.
list. I
At
will.
least now you can participate in like a spirited
That's right.
Pakeezah
That's
debate where
right.
you can join my group.
I would gladly do, but I am interested, right? I'm not going to dismiss out of hand anyone who says they like
Yeah.
this by any means, but I would love to know more about why. And if it's the music,
Fair.
okay. But also
Yeah.
then there's a playlist for that, and you don't actually have to
Right.
watch the movie. And if it's you just love Meena Kumari, then I also get that because I think she
Right.
is very good in this, right? She's as good as her health enables her to be. I have no complaints about her performance at all. She's saddled with some silly dialogues and some ridiculous situations, and that's not her fault. Um,
Hmm.
if anyone tried to convince me that her ex or estranged husband, this was like an ode to her, I would say, well, that's messed up. And we know that that was not a happy marriage, so
Yes.
I'm not buying that. Um, there are many more.
I'm really looking forward to hearing from one of our subscribers. She had said a long time ago when we were talking about Meena Kumari on one of our many episodes. I tried looking and I couldn't find, but she had said that she actually really likes Pakiza. And this is a subscriber whose comments I always enjoy. Like she always
Mm.
makes very good, pertinent points. So I'm actually really hoping that she's listening to this episode and she'll kind of chime in with why she likes Pakiza. Because like I said, I'm open to listening
Mhm.
to what someone likes about it. I'm just not as interested in listening to boys talk about this movie, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing what about this movie appeals to her because when I think of this genre or the subgenre, there's just so many more that I like. There's Umrao, there's Amrapali, there's Shampanigal's Mandi that I love. There's just so many more that I would rank higher than this, and so I just kind of like don't understand
And
the
I
appeal.
would rank Gungru with Smita Patel and Shashi Kapoor that
Yeah.
we talked about for maybe our Smita episode. I can't remember.
Yes.
Um,
There's also Gangubai Kathiawadi too
right,
with Alia.
right. So there are many
There's
more.
just it's a pretty big genre.
Yeah,
Like the whole like Tawaif thing is
yeah.
like such a big genre, and so it's just
The article I was reading did talk a little bit about the history of that as a character type and kind of what's going
mm,
on, or rather that in history what is happening to the actual Tawifs
mhm.
across the turn of the 20th century, for example. So for those like me who didn't had never really thought about that before, one of the things bringing down this whole system, well, of course, with the demise of the princely states after independence, that takes away the patronage model. But even before then, both the British and a lot of Indian reformers and nationalists wanted to do away with this system that was seen as, debauched and immoral and a sign of decay and that kind of thing. So they, really, by the early 20th century, this is a system that's on its way.
Yeah. I think one of the things I appreciate about Umrao is that, and also Gangubai Kathiawadi, is that neither movie shies away from the fact that these women are very much the victims of sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important. We have a subscriber who, I think her name is Monica Ramnath, and she had once said that she has a moral and philosophical um, standpoint of refusing to watch the wife movies. And I can see
Mhm.
exactly why she says that, because they can feel so exploitative.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at this poor woman crying for 3 hours while we, like, sort of enjoy her misery. Like, there's this like misery porn aspect to it.
Yeah.
But I like it when, if a movie is going to some extent romanticize or valorize these women, then you also have to talk about how they get there.
And this movie is
Um,
not interested in that at
no,
all. I mean, she's literally born into it, but they don't
yeah,
say anything about her mother. And because this movie is so set in a sort of unreal,
ephemeral.
yeah, they don't show you any other way a woman can be. There's literally no other women in this movie other than the Nawab's um like Ashok Kumar's family, right? There's
Mm,
women who are in Purdah as well, so like they're not much to compare to, but there you don't no, that's not true. There's one woman on the street that gets a few lines, but like um this is all you really see. So it's
yeah,
not like, oh, if she hadn't been raised by an aunt this way, the aunt could have raised her in the following way. We don't ever see that. So it's kind of like it's this or death, and this is death
right,
according to her.
yeah. I
It's
was
it's very interesting.
I was thinking about something and I just lost my thought. Um, Sorry, I've forgotten. My brain is Swiss cheese.
Yeah, this is not if you are someone like me who has thought you need to see this, I can't say that I think you do really. Um,
I think Meena Kumari fans should see it for
oh,
sure.
sure. And I'm sure they already have, right? So
Yeah.
this is, this is such a famous film. Um, and I,
Oh, I remembered my thought. What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of Bollywood stars who are never babies, a lot of them, their grandmas were actually the wives who
yeah.
actually got into the film industry. For example, Nargis's mother,
Mhm.
Saira Banu's grandma, a lot of those ladies, a lot of the earliest singers also who sang for like HMV and stuff like that, who did playback singing, a lot of them were actually the wives. And in some ways, entering the film industry was actually
Mhm.
a way for them to diversify their
Yeah.
business and to actually like make money and stuff. So if you look back into the lineage of a lot of the famous Bollywood families, you'll find a Tawai of her too in there. And
Yeah.
they definitely don't talk about it, because like, can you imagine like Sunil Dutt or someone talking about, like, they're not going to talk about it, but it's, you do a little digging and it's right there.
This article talked about how, yeah, moving into bigger urban centers and trying to get into recording, whether it was for radio
Yes,
or
which good for you.
yeah, absolutely would
Yeah.
be a more legitimate business. And we know that certainly more so in the past than now, women who were actors were also looked down upon. So it's not like
Hmm.
it was the magic status giver, but it's probably better than being a wife, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
It's better than being unemployed, certainly.
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
What did you think of Meena Kumari's acting in this movie? Was it like, because I've seen this movie so long ago that I don't remember anymore, but was it like super patchy where she's good in some bits and
No,
other
I
things she's
found
like
her
sleepwalking?
consistently good.
Okay.
I didn't find her over the top at all.
Okay.
I thought she was really lovely in it. Your use of the word patchy has me thinking, were there moments where she was kind of not bringing everything to the performance, and I read it as this character being in a sort of sad or dreamlike state? That's possible, but I would say if that was true, it was managed very well. She
Okay.
managed it. Whoever's working with her managed it. Well, I never felt like she was not present. Um,
Mm. Is
this is
she
a
portrayed in the movie as being like an alcoholic or someone who takes a lot of like, okay. Because in some movies, they do have the vibes kind of
Yeah,
imbibing.
I don't think we see her drink at all. That's an
Okay.
interesting question. I don't believe we see her drink.
Okay.
And she's supposed to be 17 when the movie starts. So
Mm.
Does Meena Kumari pass for 17? No. But that is not a slight against her because she's 20 years older than that, and there's a very significant 20
Yeah.
years when it comes to an aging body. So
Yeah.
I don't hold that against her, but
Okay, interesting.
yeah.
It's so funny. Like Pakeezah is actually the movie that made me such a Meena Kumari hater back in the day because for whatever random reason, this movie used to be shown a lot on
The
Indian
songs are
television.
beautiful. I'm sure
Yeah,
that's partly why, right? The songs are really, really
and I
lovely.
would see, and it is kind of like a quote unquote beloved movie for whatever reason. So they would keep showing it. I don't know for whatever reason they would keep showing Aradhna, which I enjoyed because of the
Yeah.
songs. They showed Amar Prem a lot. Again, there's a Tawaif in that too. Sharmila's character in it, where Rajesh Khanna says "Pushpa,
Yeah.
I hate tears," where I'm like, of course you're going to say that. And then there's this one. So these three movies would play on Doordarshan a lot when I would be visiting India on holiday. And every time I'd be like, what is up with this movie? Because every time I saw like bits of it, and I have seen it from start to finish once on TV, but I was always like, all these people are doing is crying. It was so terrible. And that's when I think I coined, much later when Harry Potter came out, and I was like, Moaning Myrtle, Meena Kumari.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of sad that like whenever people think of her, they think of movies like Pakeezah and like all of these other sad films because as we've seen, she can do so much more.
Yeah, her comic timing is really great in Azad and Kohinoori movies like that. She has
Yeah.
a, I'll say it again, the song where she dances with puppies for the puppy birthday party, wearing like wedge sandals and cigarette pants and a cute hat. Like, she can do that too.
Yeah.
She's really, she's really a delight. She's well worth talking about, obviously.
Yeah.
We should have included her in our Superstars series all
Yeah.
along, of course. Um, I was having a lot of fun looking at the debut dates of various women actors over the years. So she debuts in 1946,
Mm,
really as an adult, but that's not her first really leading role. That wasn't what put her on. But listen to what happens in the 1940s, because
okay.
I was thinking about, wow, the competition when she was young, right? So Nargis debuts in 43, Meena in 1946, Geeta Bali also 1946, Shashikala and Madhubala in 1947, Nimi and Shakila in 1949, Nirupa Roy and Nutan in 1950, 1951 is Kalpana Kartik, Vijantimala and Bina Roy, 1952 is Nadira, 1954 is Mala Sinha, 55 is Suchitra Sen for Hindi,
Damn.
53 is her Bengali debut. 56 is Wahida and Helen. In 1959, which is clearly a different generation by
Yeah.
this point, is Asha Parak and Nanda. Like,
It's
wow.
crazy.
Wow.
That's seriously amazing. Like, what a smorgasbord.
And Meena Kumari, according to what I've been reading anyway, she did very few films with the big three of the time. So Dilip
Mm,
Raj and Devanand. Um, she had a lot of films where she's the lead, right? Which
yeah.
is cool. When I was looking for a second film to watch after Pakeezah, I did see one with where she's with young Dharmendra, and I was like, "Well, that's interesting," but it sounded like a downer, so I didn't want to watch it.
Mm. I
Like
think
I've
they
had
were
enough.
like,
But
I think they were like an off-screen pairing too in real
ooh,
life. I
interesting.
believe so. Like if vintage film
Oh,
gossip is to be believed,
nice.
she definitely took a shine to Garam Dharam, who wouldn't?
Understandably,
She's only human.
understandably, yeah.
And I think she's, despite her greater stature and him being a complete nobody, I think that's one of the reasons that he got to work with her because she'd taken a
Well done,
shine to
Meena.
him.
Well
Yeah.
done.
And I think they did have a little bit of a romance.
Oh, I hope
Yeah.
so. That's cute. That's cute.
But yeah,
It's an amazing time, and it is always so interesting to spend some time, especially in the 1950s.
it really
Some of these
is.
people who I know a little bit, and some of them better than others, but this is always educational for me in a way that I really am grateful for and really find fascinating. And I will gladly watch more Mina movies. I might space
Yeah.
them out. If there's some of the sad ones, I
Right.
might space them out, but I am well aware she is more than a tragedy queen.
Right.
She could just be a queen, just full on.
Yeah.
Like, she could just be queen. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, like when I was looking at her movies, like even the two movies that I picked, it's her name. I mean, her character's name is the title of the movie. One is
right.
Sharada, one is Aarti. It's not Ashok
Right.
Kumar's name or
No.
Pradeep Kumar's name or Raj Kapoor's name. It's
And
her
even
name.
Pakeezah refers to her. It's not her name
Right.
actually, but it's,
Yeah. It's definitely her swan song. So,
Mhm.
what is your overarching theory as to why Pakistan is as beloved as it is?
It's a good
Like if you had
question.
to hazard a guess.
What I didn't look up is what prior to this is the big sort of Tawaif movie
Mm.
or Muslim Social,
Would
right?
it be
So
Mughal Azam? I want to see when Mughal Azam
maybe
came out.
that's so much longer ago. What I'm curious about is was there just a taste?
1960.
Okay, so it's been 11 or 12 years.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a hunger for this type of movie because it is a type, right?
Yes.
The Muslim Social more broadly, and then the Kurdistan movie, the Tawaif. The music is gorgeous. It really
Hmm.
is. The dancing is great. So there's that. And we have to remind ourselves that in the era before YouTube and song DVDs, like to watch the movie is how you experience those songs
Yes.
again, really, especially if you want the visuals and not just the LP.
And
Um,
some of the songs are beautiful to see on the big screen. I mean,
oh
I've
yeah.
obviously only ever seen Mughal Azam on the TV, but if they ever did like a
Oh
digitally
yeah.
restored print in a theater, I would go just to see
I
that
would
song, just
too.
to see Pyar Kiya To Darna Kya.
And
I
I've
don't
tried
even
to
care about.
rewatch that film and not gotten, I've just found it a bit of a slog, but I would go to the cinema to watch it. I would go to the cinema
Yeah.
to watch this. Actually, if Pakeezah showed near me, I would
Hmm.
go. Umar
With a
Jalal,
bottle of vodka.
yeah, I would go. Yeah, I might have something tucked into my tote bag, but um, yeah, so I imagine there's that. And then her death, right? Like
Yeah.
this is, I don't know if I think this is a fitting tribute, but it is an attempt at a large.
Epic.
Yeah, an epic kind of thing, despite its. I mean, we joke about things being set in like an imaginary stan in some of these,
Yeah.
royal capers of the 70s and stuff. But this is an imaginary world, kind of a dream world in a
Yeah.
different way. Um, and because it has a happy ending,
Hmm.
not a 100% happy ending, but it is a happy ending for the couple that we're supposed to be rooting for.
Right.
And it, spoiler, spoiler, that the granddad who had refused the marriage of the older generation attends this wedding.
Yeah.
And the wedding is in the Kota. So
Hmm.
he enters a space that he considers dirty
Hmm.
and co-signs basically this alliance. That's
Hmm.
pretty big. That's
Yeah.
huge, actually. That's DK Sapru, who is one of those guys that I like quite a
Right.
bit. Um, so that is not insignificant. That is, in fact,
Right.
significant, I think. So if you kind of smush all those things together, I can see how there would be something for everyone. Because perhaps even if you are a young modern person in the early 70s, that might appeal to you, even if the rest
Right.
of this you're kind of like yawn, that's my parents' kind of movie or
Right.
whatever. Um, I would imagine the Urdu in this is lovely. I do not know. I cannot speak to that.
Right.
But is this Urdu being delivered by people who know what they're doing? Sounds, I can imagine that's true. That might be
Yeah.
a real joy. I heard that this was played in Pakistan quite a bit as well, of course,
Mhm.
and people really liked it there. So, like there's that kind of aspect too. So I don't have a unifying theory really. I think there are a lot of
Yeah.
things about it that I can imagine felt felt important or just aesthetically pleasing, which is a
Right.
perfectly fine reason to like a movie. So
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. We have come to the most important segment of our
oh,
retro ladies, series, and that is you have to pick an ice cream for Meena
yeah.
Kumari from our Filmi Ladies ice cream shop.
So in I did re-listen to our Mary Mina episode in prep for this, and I said that I thought she was raspberry sherbet in those
Oh,
more
okay.
fun movies like lighthearted, fizzy, bright.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, does she also need to be something with Vark on it? Like, is she another of the
Right.
royal
She's a
court
mithai.
of ice creams? Yeah. Um, there because I would like to honor the often present water of Pakeezah because there are fountains where she lives and dances. There's a river that's important. So I would like to make her a drink, I think, some
Hmm.
kind of,
And there's a lot of rose petals in this movie. Just looking it
yeah, so some
out.
kind of,
Maybe a rose sherbet, like a rose
yeah,
syrup.
I think something like that would be very nice and isn't a welcome addition to our ice cream offerings.
Yes.
How about you?
We're diversifying a little bit. I wanted to pick like some kind of like kulfi for her, only because when I think of her as very like desi.
Sure.
Like when you contrast her with, say, Nargis, who, she often wore like trousers and jackets and shirts and things like that. She had like the little short hair, the little bob, and she often played like a tomboyish person. Meena, I always see her in saris.
Mm.
Right, she's always in saris. Even her blouses are so conservative; they're like, till her elbow, whatever. And she's always like in a big bindi and all of the things. She's very desi to me. And so I didn't want to pick an ice cream for her. I picked a kulfi for her. And I feel like I would pick like a Kishar Pista kulfi for her. Like just something, and we can put work on it.
I feel like that's
Jazz it up.
we may have also made that for Prithvi Raj Kapoor, but that's okay. They can share.
I mean, it's Prithviraj.
We have some repeat flavors on offer, and
Yes.
we'll rotate them, and people won't maybe notice that it's actually the same flavor with a new
Yeah.
name.
Okay, amazing. Did you have any parting thoughts before we
I am
end it?
interested if anyone has other Meena Kumari films to recommend that I have not yet seen. I think I've seen about 10 or 12 of her movies, so not a ton out of what she made, and I am interested. And I looked and looked to see if her very debut film as a child, Leatherface,
I know.
which refers to a mask, fortunately, as horror
Oh,
film vibes, but it is not. I was not able to see if that exists anywhere. There are posters of it and stuff, but I did not read that it was a lost film, but I also cannot
okay.
find it. So if you know where I can watch that, I would love to. Subtitles, schmubtitles. I just want to see it.
Okay. I think that concludes this episode. We are very excited to do our little Retro Ladies series. So stay tuned for that. And then tell us what you think about Meena Kumari. I would love to hear from the subscriber who likes Pakeezah. Please tell us why you enjoyed this movie. I would love to have like a little discussion or conversation with you in the YouTube comments. And
From the
yeah,
others who
thank
debuted in the 40s, who do you want to do next? So we have Geeta
you.
Bali, Shashikala, Nimi, and Shakila.
I don't know. A lot of it is going to depend on being able to get their movies though
Yeah.
to
Let's try
watch,
to do Geeta Bali. She's fun.
Okay.
And I've only seen one or two of her films, so
I
let's try
feel
to.
like finding her movies isn't going to be
Yeah,
hard.
I agree.
But some of the others, like it's because it's not just that we have to find the movie, we also have to be able to find a movie where you can watch with the subtitles.
Preferably. Yeah.
So it's going to be tricky
Yeah.
for some of these folks.
And which is why we've never done like Devika Rani or
Yeah.
any of them really. It just seems too hard. Although maybe if we keep doing this long enough, more things will
Right.
appear and we will be able to. Or I
Exactly.
could finally learn Hindi and then I could just watch them like a normal person.
Right. Or AI can make captions for you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching this episode, and we will see you next week on Filmy Ladies. Bye.